each individual part of this health care package can be discussed and debated, the whole thing.
If the president announces that that's the way it will work, and he will ensure and enforce that the leadership in Congress, Nancy Pelosi and Harry Reid, handle it that way, then that's how you can be assured it will work. Short of that, I don't know any way to enforce an open, totally open debate and discussion on all the various provisions, some of which will be very good and some of which may not be good. So what would be the problem in opening it up and laying it out to all of you? Let's hear what you have to say about it. I think that's a brilliant way to run the government. But we don't know whether, maybe that will happen. Maybe that will happen. But we just don't know at this point.
Is the old soldiers' home in Vineland, is that free to all veterans?
Yes. And that memorial home in Vineland, a couple of years ago, actually the old one was torn down. And there's a brand new one. That's something I was very, very happy to partner and work with. I was able to secure $30 million federal dollars to go along with the state of New Jersey. And that is a facility that's being looked at all across the country for veterans' homes to model after, because they have an Alzheimer's unit, they have a long-term care unit, they have the acute care, they cover everything. It's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful facility that does a great job for our veterans. If there is a downside, there are a limited number of beds. And we always know there are more people who are looking to be admitted there. But they do a wonderful job, get rave reviews about the quality of care. And for everyone who volunteers to help the memorial home, and there are volunteers from Cherry Hill, from Camden County, from Cape May County, Atlantic County, all over, different veteran service organizations, sometimes the scouting organizations, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, some grade school classes will take an initiative because they hear that the vets may need a television set in a certain area, and they all raise money to chip in for it. But when they're there, they're not charged. Yes, ma'am.
Hi. In all these healthcare reform, is mental health being addressed? Mental health awareness is so pivotal. What's being done?
When I was first elected to Congress, the issue as it was framed in Congress was, the title was mental health parity. And what that means is that mental health wasn't on a par with other illnesses as far as insurance companies were concerned. So someone who was suffering from mental health wouldn't be able to get the coverage necessary to get the care needed. Long before I ever ran for any elected office, long before I was a freeholder in Cumberland County, and before I was a member of the General Assembly, I followed my dad on the Cumberland County Guidance Board. Cumberland County Guidance Center is just outside of Millville, and it's Cumberland County's mental health facility for sort of private facility. And serving on the board there gave me a level of awareness and understanding that most people wouldn't know unless somehow this has touched you. I was a very strong supporter of the mental health parity issue. That was actually put into law, what, 2 years ago, Dana? Last year. So now mental health parity is part of our health insurance system. But I think there's going to be additional debate, and there should be additional debate to ensure that whatever health care initiative there is for the nation includes this.
That's like med as well. There are no generics for a lot of those meds. The psychotropic meds, you can't get a generic drug. And to get in bulk, what about all these teenagers that are streeting these drugs and taking from the grandparents? Getting in bulk is great, but storage is a problem. You know, you have people coming into your house. I'm a healthcare nurse, but I've seen some stuff, plugging all over the screen. There's such a broad spectrum of issues. I mean, how do you protect these people that aren't aware? You know, there's just so many issues.
Well, healthcare awareness in all areas is crucial and essential.
Yes, it is.
You know, screening for prostate cancer, for breast cancer, screenings for other illnesses, personal initiatives to stay healthy. These are all the things that make a difference, but the government can and should encourage at all levels that this awareness take place and we can have programs, but at a certain point there's individual responsibility. Well, they're funding. Listen, if you can fund $4 billion for STD clinics, you know, you can find some money for mental health issues. And this is the way I'm looking at it. It's a matter of priorities. You have to make priorities. The VA is increasing its funding dramatically. The largest increase in the history of the VA over the last 2 years. A lot of it to do with the psychiatric end of this, so that our men and women in uniform or those who are leaving the service can have the access for mental health that they need. These are issues that have took a long time to recognize, but now that they are, there are huge numbers of dollars available to try to help out in these areas. So we can do all this, but at a certain point, I don't know how you ever pass a piece of legislation that will force each and every individual to do, you know, a laundry list of things. At a certain point, I mean, if you're choosing to do something that's very unhealthy in your life, and you're making a conscious decision to do that, can or should the government come in and tell you to change that? And this is a raging debate. I mean, in New York City, you know, they want to tax, you know, McDonald's and because of the fat content and the French fries and all these things. I mean, if you want to go eat French fries every day, should the government tell you not to? I mean, at a certain point, we got to figure out where this line is. But there's a lot more that can be done and should be done, and that was a great question.
Excuse me. Also with the mental health issue, those in uniform and those out of uniform, it is very hard. I'm very close to the mental health to get medicines, getting people placed, things like that. It's the system is so red taped that it really breaks you down. And watch these people suffer because they won't give them the medicines that they really need. Really need. And generic medicines, some of these medicines that these
about
mental health people need.
Veterans?
No, I'm speaking on a person in general,
Person in general.
outside of the veterans. And you have hundreds of people that...
Well, that's part of the reform that's necessary in the healthcare system overall.
You can't get the medicines for them. Or they'll give you a generic. All generic medicines does not work like the other real medicine. If you give a generic medicine, a Plazaril to a certain schizophrenic person, it still sets them off. It's not doing its job, what it's designed to do. So all generic medicines are not the same as another medicine that person needs.
Well, the insurance companies are way out of control on a wide range of things because...
Medicaid is just cutting back and cutting. Unfortunately, the person that's got insurance has. Medicaid just is cutting back and cutting back. Can't get them placed. Different places are closing up different parts for these people.
Well,
And they
two separate,
wonder
yeah.
in the streets if someone doesn't take them and look after that.
Two separate problems. On the first part, just from how insurance companies are dealing with this, it's not just mental health. It borders on criminal. If you have health care coverage and you find out you've got a catastrophic illness, cancer, and you believed you were covered under your policy, and then you have a non-medical professional that's a pencil pusher at one of these insurance companies that looking at the bottom line and is telling you you're denied.